one of your biggest, faith testings that you've had to go through, and your endurance is being shown right now. And I feel like God has a big plan for who your wife will be, as well as just the path that he has you on. Right now, you're almost as if you're married to Jesus, and it's like all over you, brother,
Ooh.
And I love, I've been seeing the tour footage, and I've been really just like, super geeked up about it, bro. Number one, it looks so good. Like it looks like old school, like what like nostalgic, when it comes to the arts, as well as the theater vibes to it. And I love that you bring the word out there on stage, and you're not afraid to bring the gospel straight to the people. And I know that that's kind of where your music is at, but it's one thing to just sing it. It's another thing to like be out there teaching the word too. So, and I've been seeing your Instagram as well. You've been teaching the word in your car, and I just love that, man. So I think God is very proud of you for that. And just talk to me about how he leads you in that to go ahead and just live that out.
Yeah, thank you. I felt earlier on, especially gearing up for this tour, that I would be a fool to not bring this out with me every night, because of what he's done for me, and it's funny. I've talked to some other artists and some good buddies of mine that are like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous of you. And it's like, what? And it's like, I want to repent of some stuff. Like, I've been following Jesus my whole life, and I'm trying to get my music out. I'm trying to do these things, and it's not happening. And it's like, and then you come along after, 14 and a half years of drugs, alcohol, sex, running away, all this stuff. And the Lord just goes, boom, here you go, and to go out and preach the gospel. And it's just so funny how we were talking about it, and it's like, but that's what he does.
That's what he does. Yeah.
That's what he does. He's not into, like, I was reading about King Cyrus, right? Yeah. And recently, and it was just like, God will choose who God will choose.
That's right.
I'm thankful. It's some days it's not easy. I'm very grateful that he's chosen me, but it's like, man, I read, as I'm reading in these Psalms on how some days it's just like, help me, my deadly enemies surround me. I mean, I'm reading this stuff, and I'm like, some days I feel completely surrounded by the enemy. I'm like, how am I even going to get out of this? But yeah, I appreciate you saying, I remember trying out for a bunch of plays when I was in school, in elementary school, middle school, and high school. I was, a football player, but I always had this passion for theater, and it's been cool this tour especially. I think I've really kind of found a new side of me, to really lean into the theater side, the acting side. There's a moment in the set where all the music stops, and I sit down at a table and have a meal in front of however many people are there. And I just tell them that before I got invited to church, I got invited to dinner.
Wow.
And it's the supper. I call it, the scene is the supper that saved my life. And people are invited over to my house for dinner now. And I'm telling them about what Jesus has done for me. And so I'm able to read the word to them. And God gives me a word every single day. I get into the word, I open it up, and I read to them what he gave me that morning. And I think there's something very relevant about that for whoever's in the crowd, whoever is there to hear. I know it's relevant for me, so I'm just believing it's relevant for them too. But it's been really special, and it's been really cool to just like lean into my artistry and some of the things that he's given me, because I love to make people laugh. I love to be silly, and but I also know what he's done for me, and I have a very serious side. So this tour has been very special because Jonathan Traylor comes out with such a bang, and he's so amazing, and gets people just completely exhausted from dancing. And then all of a sudden, and he is insanely talented.
Yes.
And he brings the gospel in such a fresh, new, awesome way. And then people experience me, and they're like thrown back in their chairs, and they just sit there on the roller coaster ride that is my life. And then Darren gets them back up out of the seats and finish the night in such a cool, awesome way. And so it's been really cool. Like, the Lord has allowed me to really find a new side of me.
Yeah.
That I've been excited to share.
That's so good, man. It reminds me of like self-expression through the Lord, and like the way you encounter him and the way you impore him, and then as well as the way you outpour him. It seems like that he's really like refining that for you and just using you in different ways to do that. And I saw one brother actually you posted that was like, he was standing up singing like every word of your song, and you went up to him. Did you pray over him? Tell me a little bit about that story. That stuck out in my mind just now when you were sharing that with me.
Man, yeah, I didn't realize what had happened. But this man sent me a message. Young man sent me a message 2 days before the show. I didn't get it. I didn't read it. I didn't see it. He was in the front row, and he just was worshiping the whole night. And he was standing there. I don't think he even sat down. And it came to Chasing Rebels, and I just saw the tears coming down his cheeks from underneath the shadow of his cowboy hat. And I just felt the Lord just wanting to hug him, and I just at the end of the song, I just knelt down and I hugged him, and it was really special, and he just wouldn't let go and I wouldn't let go. And it was really amazing. What I didn't realize was he sent me a message after that night, and I was able to read his previous messages. Like it popped up. And so the Lord showed it to me, but it didn't show it to me 2 days before. He showed it to me that night after.
Right.
And it's funny because I found him because I posted that video and he said, "That's me." In the comments. And so I clicked on his name and I did some research and I found him. Anyway, the previous messages were that he had a gun in his mouth. And he actually pulled the trigger and the gun didn't go off. Ooh, and goosebumps. And he gave his life to the Lord. He said he felt, as soon as he pulled the trigger, he felt the most overwhelming sense of love that he'd ever felt in his whole life. And he turned his whole life over to Christ just like that. And that's just what he does. He did it for me. He did it for you.
That's right.
Amen, I mean, brother. And so it's like stories like that, countless stories like that. And so no wonder why he wasn't sitting down. No wonder why he wouldn't sit down, why he couldn't sit down, why he stayed up there praising his holy name, why tears were coming down his cheeks. Could you imagine? How many other people are there in this world that have put a gun in their mouth, that have put a knife to their veins, that have thought about hanging themselves, that have thought about that stuff that nobody wants to talk about?
That's right.
The awful, wicked things that nobody wants to talk about and hide behind a smile, and they hide behind a laugh. Robin Williams, I think of the most famous people, the most incredible people that are so full of life and full of love. And behind the scenes, they say, well, we want to make people feel this way because we don't want them to feel what we feel when we go behind closed doors.
That's so real.
And so I'm just like, what the Lord has provided me is this stage and this living room, my bedroom, that I can open the doors and say, here I am. This is just me. This is what I go through. This is real. And because people need the real Jesus,
that's so good,
because they got real problems.
That's right. Thank you so much for supporting our YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and smash that like button. If you would like to see another short clip from this episode, you can do so here. Or if you want to see the full conversation, you can do so here. And make sure you subscribe on Patreon. If you'd like to partner with us, you can do that. The link in the description of this video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.